I suspect that they've come out with new versions of these power adapters that aren't quite the same as what you're finding online. You can see I've just completely mangled the foil on the inside here. And you can see, for example, my power adapter is missing a specific piece, or it seems to be missing one. For example, right here, there in the documentation I'm finding online, there's a piece that I don't seem to have. This section right there is empty. It's just the actual cords. If you look at the screen, the example I see here online, it shows a, you can see right here, you can see there's a piece that I seem to be missing. Furthermore, these instructions say you can use an X-Acto knife to open up this piece of plastic. And there they show it split. And there they show it completely opened up. I have been thoroughly unable to split this with a knife. I don't know what kind of plastic this is, but it's got some numbering on the back. And it seems to be something more than just plastic. I don't know if it's ceramic or what. I mean, you're able to get a knife in there. I can kind of get a knife in there to sort of cut it. You can see where I started. But it's an awful lot of work. And anybody trying to do this yourself, I'm not sure it's worth the money. The only reason I'm doing it myself is that I need the computer for tomorrow. Today's Sunday, and where I live, it's highly unlikely I can find, there's no stores open, generally speaking, so it's either repair it myself or not be unprepared tomorrow morning. In this image you can see I'm using a razor sharp Swiss Army knife sold to me by Apple in the year 2000 to try and open this up. And you can see that I'm making some progress, but I have to apply massive, and I mean massive amounts of pressure. And I'm telling you, this blade would cut right through a piece of paper. It's very sharp. And yet I'm unable to open it as they're showing in these instructions. So I suspect this piece has changed between the time the instructions were made and the time this piece was manufactured. In fact, I would even guess that this piece is older than the instructions, than the ones on the instructions. So here's the indestructible piece, again from another view. I've managed to get kind of down into it a little bit with a knife, but I feel like it's starting to break right at the ends anyway, so I'm doubting whether this is even going to be worth it. Furthermore, I may have already destroyed the circuit board when I was trying to get the case apart. So my question to Apple is this: if you're able to produce such a fully indestructible piece of hardware, why can't you get this piece right? So I finally managed to get like a nice cut in there. I don't know if you can see it too well. I managed to open it with my knife, but I couldn't get all the way through to the other side. If you look at the other side, I started to cut it, but I couldn't get it. Furthermore, I am a bit concerned about slicing right through the actual wires. So I've got this part open, this side is open, got a little bit of a crack in there. It goes all the way down to about the middle of the piece of the unit. You can't quite see, there you go, there you can see it better. And now my technique is, you can't see, this is hard to see because I have to use both hands, but basically with my needle nose I use my needle nose to kind of hold on to the piece as best I can, and then stick a screwdriver down into this slot and just start prying, hoping that it's going to eventually just crack and come right apart. As you can see, it's slow going, but you know what they say, slow and steady, without too much force, although that seems a little silly given the situation. And maybe using a slightly bigger screwdriver might help too, which it seems to. It's just slow going. Let's see if I can catch this on camera. Impossible. This is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. Thank you so much, Apple. Such a nice design. You know, and before you say, oh, but it's just the design of laptops and the power supplies and all the rest, I'd like to remind Apple that I don't have this problem with my toaster, my kettle, any of my other electronic devices. And before you say, yeah, but they're not portable, what about my iron? Never have I had this kind of a problem with an iron. And I'm sorry, my iron gets much more use and much more portability than my laptop. After much prying, it seems I managed to get this open. But as you can see, I may have actually split, looks like the ground from in two. It's hard to see. It's really tough to see in there, but it's just a real hassle. This piece was never intended to be opened up, and again, I wonder if you can make a piece like this so indestructible, why can't we make the entire assembly a little bit more reliable? Okay, so I managed to actually separate the thing, but I may as well have just cut the black piece off at the end. I've been working on this for, I don't know, an hour and a half now, maybe 2 hours, just trying to get this apart. And in the end, as you can see, hardly been worth the effort. Even still, even what I'm left with here, now that I've got it separated, there's the white cable, which I believe, I forget which one, what that's called exactly, is still kept in place here by a silver little strip that's this is in molded plastic. So to open this up, I'm going to have to cut another, open this up right here with another knife cut, which is nearly impossible in this molded plastic, so that I'm left with this entire single lead going all the way up to there. Not sure I'm even going to bother. I'm probably just going to cut it off to get moving. I got to get this repaired. Okay, so I managed to get it off by not by breaking the piece that was remaining, but by snaking it out with a pair of pliers. Unfortunately, I'm not sure you can see it, but there's a little bit of a break here in the wire, so I'm going to have to seal that with a few rounds of electrical tape before I actually splice this and resolder the wire back together. This piece, well, I'm just SOL on this one. You're going to have to be careful. And let's just hope I didn't ruin the internal circuitry when I took this whole thing apart. So, several hours later, I've got the two cables soldered together. Can't really see them very well. There's one right there, and there's the other right there. And what I've done is actually, it's a technique that's maybe a little unorthodox. I soldered them parallel to each other rather than facing each other. And what I'm going to do then is bend the cable around. I don't want to do it like this because I'm going to break it, but I'll bend it around so it's got a little bit of a loop. And what that's going to do is it's going to provide, when I tape it all together, I'll show you in the end, it's going to provide a little bit of stability and resistance when it comes to yanking on it, because people will invariably yank on these things, and keep things more or less stable inside the container. Here goes nothing. So here it is taped up. You can see there's the loop down in the bottom there. That loop should provide a little bit of protection when people pull on the cord. It also makes the opening a little bit thick like the original was, so the case should help to keep everything in place. And unfortunately, by doing it this way, we've lost a little bit of the protection that the original enclosure provided from pulling and that sort of thing. So when I put the case on, I'm also going to tape this cable onto the case firmly, so to provide yet another layer of protection. And here it is, all bound up with electrical tape. And as somebody else said, you're never going to get through an airport with that. I think they might be right. But you can see there's the little orange light up on the top. Well, you can't really see it, but it's a little orange light there showing that it is indeed charging the computer. So, all is good. Only took me about 2 or 3 hours.